Everybody, wherever you are, this is 2A Radio. 2A Radio is the African Action Network radio and television station. We are here this morning, and we are thankful that today is a brand new week. And whatever you're doing today, we want to say thank God for you and the fact that you have breath of you. We want to stand with you, and we hope that all will be well. As the week commences and as the week progresses. So this morning we want to talk about a very important and burning issue. I don't know whether many of you are looking at it, but inside Liberia, we be monitoring some situation, and we want to talk about it this morning. What is that? There is a concern about political parties, political noise in political parties in Liberia. Electoral confusion doesn't happen overnight. There are a series of events that leads to a successful elections. So this morning we want to look at political parties, how political parties supposed to operate, the noise that are in political parties in Liberia, major political parties in Liberia, as means or are issues that can point to how the national elections is going to be like if things are not handled the way it should be. So Liberia has gone through so many challenges and is going through so many challenges. And there are national issues that should concern political parties, that should concern the institution itself, government. And when we talk about government, it's not just about those who are in. Government is by the people and for the people. And if that is the sole purpose of governing the people within the country, so it means that everyone in Liberia are part of the government. And there are actors. There are actors of people who are supposed to ensure the functioning of government. And there are people who should be responsible to ensure that there is not only a free, fair, and transparent election, but there is a trouble-free elections. So as Liberia gears towards 2023 national elections, presidential and legislative, it is incumbent upon everyone, every political party, to ensure that there will be not only a free, fair, and transparent elections, but that there will be a trouble-free elections. So let's look at the way political parties supposed to be like. First, let's talk about some of the political parties and some of the noise we are hearing in these individual political parties, and look at the holistic issue that confront these political parties. The Unity Party led Liberia for 12 years. Madam Salif decided to take Joseph Boakai as her running mate, both her first term and the second term. So Liberians were made to believe that these individuals, two individuals, were best of friends, best of people who understood one another, for which reason trust existed for the two individuals to have contested elections first and second time. The division within the Unity Party seriously did lead to the success of George Weah. The confusion within the Unity Party, for which Madam Salif did not support her vice president for the first and second round, or the first time and the second first term, the second term, whatever reason that was, that has crippled the Unity Party, and that confusion still exists. Why? Because Madam Salif is a member of the Unity Party. So Madam Salif being a member of the Unity Party, Madam Salif has a voice within the Unity Party. Whether she's speaking or not, Madam Salif is an influential person within the Unity Party as a member. Except we are told that she's been expelled from the Unity Party, and that is of public knowledge. Then we can say, well, in the context of expulsion, the executive committee of the Unity Party should take that decision, and not the executive committee. Yet the executive committee can set the stage for such a major decision. So the confusion within the Unity Party is not only affecting the Unity Party, but is affecting the general well-being of partisans of that party. Now, Madam Salif is out of the picture in some form as far as leadership is concerned. But Madam Salif is influential for the Unity, within the Unity Party. And how is she going to govern? Recently, we heard a statement from Madam Salif that she's not going to campaign for any political party or any individual. She's going to be focusing on a global issue. Whether that is true is yet to be seen. But so the confusion within the Unity Party continues. But there's a cardinal issue, and not just the Unity Party, that we will be emphasizing, and that is, what is the role of executive committees within political parties within Liberia? The Unity Party is just one aspect of the confusion or the noise, political noise within political party. But let's look at the Liberia Party. Liberia Party of the late Charles Walker Bronston is one of those political parties that is seriously affected today. The political noise within the Liberia Party is a major issue. How is that going to be resolved? Is yet not known. But we see a faction. We see factions within the Liberia Party, meaning we are seeing that the Hassan Belete faction within the Liberia Party, and the Yombli, the Senator Yombli Kanga's faction. There's a major reason why we place emphasis on the Analyst newspaper. This is the Analyst newspaper of the October 11th edition of the Analyst newspaper. We have several newspapers, but there's now a focus today. But we want to look at this publication in line with our subject for today. The Liberia Party has a major issue to be resolved. There's a complete disunity within the Liberia Party. There are some Liberia partisans that are supporting the Hassan Belete, who is now the national chairperson of the Liberia Party. And there are some partisans of the Liberia Party that are supporting the Yombli Kanga's faction. The Yombli Kanga's faction. And this confusion may lead to the general elections. And that may be some major issue that could affect the national elections or the general elections if these matters are not resolved. So these two factions within the Liberia Party, I'm very sure the Liberia Party is not being able to put their house in order, because the Hassan Belete faction is within the CPP, the collaborating political parties, meaning the Alternative National Congress that is headed by Alexander Cummings. So Hassan Belete faction of the Liberia Party is on board with Alexander Cummings' bid for the 2023 elections, presidential elections, while the Yombli Kanga's faction is supporting the Joseph Boakai's bid for elections. And what we are hearing is like Yobli Kanga may likely be the vice running mate for uh, the Buckeyes bid for president. Now, how can that be? It's not possible, right? Because she will either go to the Unity Party as an independent person, but if she holds membership of the Liberal Party and it's likely that she may be the vice running mate to the Liberal Party, to the Unity Party or the standard bearer of the Unity Party. Under what condition is she going on that side? Is she going there as a Liberal partisan? It's an issue because the Liberal Party has an executive committee. I will assume that the Liberal Party has an executive committee, and that assumption is in line with the Constitution of Liberia and the structure of political parties. Political parties are not just institutions that are run by single persons. That seems to be the order of the day in Liberia, but that is not what the National Elections Commission is supposed to accredit a political party or accept or qualify a political party to participate into elections. The National Election Commission should be looking at the minutes of these political parties, not individuals. The minutes of these political parties should speak of the voices of partisans and executive committee members within these political parties. That is a way of minimizing or managing the noise within political parties. But right, the executive committee chairpersons are always supposed to be the spokesperson of political parties, besides the standard bearers or the who be standard bearers or those persons who are supposed to be senior leaders within these political parties. So the noise within the Liberal Party add to the noise of the United Party. On another hand, what we have witnessed recently, the National Patriotic Party that is within in marriage with the CDC is also in a political noise. So the political noise within the United Party, within the United Party, within the Liberal Party, and now the NPP. The NPP is a party that suffers the demand of the international community that Charles Taylor was to leave Liberia. And since then, the NPP has been struggling, and we is yet to be seen as it was during the regime of Charles Taylor, former President Charles Taylor, who is now, behind bars. So the noise within the political party of the National Patriotic Party is of a serious concern. Likewise, we witnessed or we read that the NPP went for a convention at the Pinsville Town Hall, and out of that confusion, out of that convention, came two different factions. The faction of Joy Howard Taylor, who is vice president of Liberia under the regime of the CDC government or the CDC government, they have elected one of Liberia's former representative for Lufa County, Saleh District to be specific, Stanley Quacklin. Stanley Quacklin is being elected from what we are reading that he is the chairperson of the National Patriotic Party. On the other hand, the James Banning's faction, James Banning is currently senator for Maryland County, and James Banning seems to be struggling to win the National Patriotic Party towards the CDC. So his faction in our political reading is struggling to get the National Patriotic Party towards the CDC. And so he's heading another faction. So The political noise within the NPP is also of a concern as Liberia gets ready for the 2023 general and presidential elections. These confusions are not just within these three political parties. There are other political parties that may have some other issues, like we saw the collaborating political party, the CPP. That was almost like a force. Okay, they participated in senatorial elections and they won most of the seats, and the confusion started. The confusion broke most of them apart. We still understanding from the ANC that the CPP still exists. Now, how all of those things come into being is only through proper documentation, right? The framework document that brought on board all of these political parties. Whether or not that framework was dissolved, or whether or not the framework was amended, and whether or not the framework document was resubmitted to the National Election Commission are issues of the confusion. Some of the confusion within the Liberal Party, Liberal parties, not Liberal Party, confusion within political parties. So without resolution of these matters, Liberia's election, there is a very likelihood that confusion may be, the elections in Liberia will be clouded with a lot of confusion. And when elections are clouded with confusion, you know what happens? The end result is always bad. And we don't hope that Liberia will be at that stage or reach that stage. That is the singular reason why we're discussing some of these issues. And we would hope. In fact, let me ask this question. Are there elders in Liberia today? Are there serious-minded Liberian leaders, besides those in government, and those who fight in the wrong political party? Do we have seniors in Liberia that can sit and say, well, this is our country, we will not sit and allow this to go on? To which discussions could be taking place behind the scene in communities, in political institutions. Are there seniors in Liberia? I listened to one elder in Lofa County recently, and this person was speaking on issues affecting politics and education in Liberia. And that elder attention or utterances drew my attention. In today's political parties, there are individuals who don't even want to go to school, but they want to lead. As a result, these are some of the factors that are affecting political institutions. People who did not go to school at all want to be political leaders. People who, for some reason, went to school but did not study the sciences want to be political leaders, because Liberia has been made to believe that, look, education is not so important. You can be anybody at any time. In fact, every Liberian seems to be masters of all of these sciences and all of these courses that are taught at university levels. So there are no professionals who can open their mouth to speak, because when you want to talk to this field, hey, there's going to be discussions that, look, you are not educated, you don't know this subject matter, and there are people who profess to know this subject matter better than any other person. So the confusion within political parties are not just issues of today. Even though these matters may confuse many young people that were coming up. So for Liberia to have a generational, consideration on looking at the future is going to be a little different. Liberia nightmare may just be beyond Liberia and its citizenry. These political parties, are they operating as the framers expected? Because if we had political institutions that are operating on the basis of laws, the laws and bylaws and constitution of these political parties, we would not have had these factions. Because as these factions come about, the executive committees of this party would have resolved these matters. And whoever that is claiming leadership the executive committee, the voice of the executive committee would have been the voice respected by the National Election Commission. But if you don't have political parties in full operation of their constitution and bylaws, you're going to have this confusion. Like, for example, let's look at the Unity Party. The Unity Party should have a constitution and bylaws. And to operate the constitution and bylaws, they're supposed to be executive committee members. How many members? I don't know. I have not read. I'm not part of these political parties. But the executive committee members are the ones who are supposed to speak and put an end to some of this confusion. Are there minutes that can point to some of this confusion? And are there resolutions for some of these issues? If there are not, it is about time that these political parties be made to put their houses in order. And the best institution right now that can control that is the National Election Commission. The National Election Commission should have before it a set of documents from these political parties that participated into elections last year. These documents are documents that should be used in holding these individuals accountable to their individual political parties. Until those documents are withdrawn, until those documents are amended, the National Election Commission is supposed to hold each political party by their constitution and bylaws. And the executive committee listing, because within those documents, there should be an attachment to the National Election Commission that named executive committee members within these political parties. So without a resolution from the executive committee members, there should be no individual that should represent political parties. We agree that the party will select someone to be the standard bearer of a party. But when it comes to the structure, even the chairperson of a political party cannot be the voice of the political party. And because individuals are now acting like, well, I am the chairperson of this party, or I am the voice of this party, the errors continue because executive committee members, some of these people are not even independent. Some of these people are not prepared to even run a political party. Because a voice of a single executive committee member could override some of these issues and could point to a constitutional resolution of these matters. But if you have executive committee members who are not in the know, who don't know the subject matter of how to run a political party or even how to use the power to vote, then the confusion will continue even up to general elections. And the way this seems to go, you even have people causing this confusion. Political institution. Look, politics is all about, the argument can be on, the noise in a major way can be on. That is to say, look, you can be discussing the issues, you can disagree. But your disagreement should not go to the point where people become hateful. Hatred exists within these political institutions. People don't want to see one another. This kind of mindset are not mindset of running political institutions for the sole purpose of wanting to run a government or run a country. There are many national issues, many threatening issues in Liberia that should be of concern not only to the government, but for those persons who are pretending to run political institutions. And I'm using the word pretending because political parties should be run by serious-minded people. And people should be mature enough to run political parties, because political party is there to govern a group of Liberians. So if you cannot resolve the conflict within your political party, how sure can there be for Liberian, or how sure are Liberian that when you get to win national elections, you can control the numerous problems that are facing Liberia? If you cannot resolve conflict within these political institutions that you govern, how sure can Liberian be that you can resolve the many problems they are faced with? There are so many problems in Liberia. In fact, let me say this. There are global problems that are affecting nations. I just listened to Nigeria last night. Over 600 persons died because of flood, because of heavy rain and flood. So when I hear these things, I'm wondering whether Liberians are thinking, or people just feel like, okay, no, we are immune from these kind of activities that are happening. Global warming. Are there steps? Are there actions? Are people predicting? And when you predict, I mean, you wish hunt in the country, right? That's what many persons think. That's what make Liberian or African people will sit on the, when they die in the numbers, then they start trying to find solutions, start calling other people to come in. So in short, what I'm saying, there are several problems. Not befitting. There are several problems facing the country, and the way it can be resolved is when you have total mature group of persons, maturity in these political parties. The maturity will lead to those political parties collaborating in some sense with the ruling party to resolve some standing national issues. But if you don't have maturity, people are not believing that when you are part of a political party, that means you're not even supposed to talk to the other political party, because when you talk to them, that means it's wrong to do that. Political parties are supposed to have discussions. In fact, the national government, I think when the job we had, government started after a series of calls and all of the public outcry, all of the things, they attempted to have meetings with opposition political parties. That was a unique meeting, but whether that meeting was with good faith to have continued therefrom, that was an issue. So the majority of the CDC herself could not even continue the meeting with opposition political party up to today's date. So these confusions are not just going to be, okay, you know what, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to contest election, we're going to select candidates for national elections and all of this. No. Political institution must firstly be, and then the responsibility is on the National Election Commission to ensure that political parties are well structured and ready to participate in the election. Because if you evaluate a political party and they don't meet those 10 other criteria sets, then you as an election commission should be able to stop some of these political parties. If there are continuous confusion within the political parties, and there's no end to this noise or this kind of political disorderliness, Liberia's general and presidential election will be problematic. So we thought it wise to signal that this morning. It's not a pleasure to see a country, with so many problems, and those who are said to be leaders are not acting like leaders. And many of them are in political greed and don't even understand what it means to run a political party or to be a member of a political party. Somebody is a member of a political party and yet they still want to be agitating for another political party. That is not politics. That's total confusion. If you have problem in the party, you must fight to resolve that confusion. And the way to go about it, the first thing is to complain to the executive committee. Let's say Jensen was a member of the Liberia Party, and there are so many confusion in that Liberia Party. Jensen can get it, you know what, this is too much. Jensen as a member, whether an executive member or as a member, I have a membership within a political party, I can get it and write a nice letter to the National Executive Committee and enumerate the problem that exists within this political party and tell this political party, I will plead that you kindly call an executive committee meeting to have this matter resolved. If that is done, the executive committee must look at the letter from Jensen with all intent and purpose to find resolution of some of these problems, first determine whether these problems are real. If the problems are real, then the executive committee should be able to call an executive committee meeting and fight hard and look at these issues and see whether these issues could be resolved. If the executive committee meets and resolve Jensen's concerns, and John Brown is not certified, John Brown has an option. John Brown, who is a member of the executive committee, can take an exception to whatever resolution that grow from that executive committee meeting and challenge the executive committee to the president. If it is not an electoral matters, you can petition the National Election Commission, the Supreme Court of Liberia. If it is not an electoral matter, but inside political parties issues, in fact, that is again a matter of your lawyers. Lawyers attached to the political parties know where to file a matter, where to go, or if an individual decides to say they want to take their own lawyer and challenge the process, all of those mechanisms can be worked out. At the end of the day, if the petition goes before the Supreme Court on major decisions or resolutions that grow from a political party, the Supreme Court takes a decision, and that decision should be final and should force everybody within that political party to respect the ruling of the Supreme Court. If any member for any reason is not satisfied with that ruling, and that person decides to resign, it is the option. There's a free will of that person to resign from the political party and join any other political party. But to be in a political party and you're speaking for another political party, these are total lawlessness. You cannot be of a Liberal Party, United Party, or NPP. You want to be for CDC and what have you. You must either be a sedition or a national patriotic partisans. You either be a partisan of the Liberal Party or a partisan of the United Party. You either a partisan of the United Party or a partisan of the CDC. You can be in all of these political parties at the same time. You have an allegiance to a political party, the fact that you became a member of a political party. Now, let me say this. If you have not resigned from a political party and you want to contest election on another party's ticket, like a standard bearer or vice standard bearer, it's a problem in there. The executive committee of this party can petition the National Election Commission to deny your registration as a vice running mate or as a candidate for that political party because your membership is still with a political party. Now, this is a sticky issue here. And I say because I'm hearing like, if let me put it squarely. If, for example, Senator Yomble Kanga Lawrence is to be a vice running mate of the United Party, meaning Joseph Joseph Barker, she must first and foremost resign her position or her membership with the Liberal Party. If she doesn't resign, and for any reason they go to the National Election Commission and want to register as a vice presidential candidate for the United Party, there might be a very serious problem because the Liberal Party could challenge her position there and then. So you see the confusion we are bringing out. So when you don't resolve these matters and you think it's all going to be well, except where there is no independent election commission. But where there is an independent election commission, the independent election commission sees your name as an executive committee member of a Liberal Party, and you want to be a vice standard bearer of another political party, that party can challenge your role or your candidacy in the on that ticket of the United Party, because the Liberal Party own you. So to be free, you're supposed to resign from that political party and join a political party or become an independent person. But you can have your allegiance, your alliance with a political party, and at the same time, you want to run on another, because Joseph Barker is not an independent candidate. He's going on. He's the political leader of the United Party, and may be a candidate for the United Party. So the vice running mate, not just anybody. Now, this may not just be for ordinary people to understand, right? Because somebody will feel like, okay, that's a woman's choice. She's a Liberian, she have a free will, that she can do anything she wants to do. The law is the law. You are a member of a political party. Resign. If you don't resign and you want to contest on another political party, there's an issue right there. But whether the National Election Commission will spot check these matters, or whether the executive committee, whether there's a full structural executive committee of this political party, that will be an issue. That's an issue. Another issue we see, and except the Liberal Party collaborate with the Unity Party, but something like that, we are not seeing that, right? The Liberal Party committee, I don't know whether the executive committee has signed a resolution to invite, liaise with the ANC, the Alternative National Congress. It's an issue. So these political issues must be resolved. If they are not resolved, then there's an issue. This confusion or noise may affect the national election, the general and presidential elections. So we raise these issues because we think people should be mature, must be people with wisdom, must be people who understand political institutions. And you have the article of incorporation that will point to what you need to do. And from there, you went together and also crafted your laws, your constitutions and bylaws. And these documents are supposed to guide you. And for any reason, there are set of confusion that are things to be done, there must be resolution that will grow from the executive committee. And the executive committee, the voice of the executive committee must be those documents that should be respected or that should be ruled on by an existing National Election Commission. Better still, the Supreme Court of Liberia. So this confusion, we hope Liberia will be watched out, and people should know exactly what they need to do henceforth. Another thing we look at in Liberia is politics is getting a little different these days. I remembered I was in the corridor of government. I remember there came a time there was some confusion within the very NPP, especially when it came to the national legislature. I think it was we saw Ibe Masale, who was the majority leader of the House, and I think either he was not going along with the president, and then there was the NPP executive committee. I think they took some decision at the time. We know Chancellor was an influential person in those decisions. But the executive committee came up with some decision. I think that's the time they brought the very Stanley Packley now, who is now considered as the chairperson on the Joel Howard faction, as the chairperson of the National Patriotic Party, was the one who was selected. I think that was the first time Stanley Packley was brought into the limelight of national government, besides being a representative for Saleh district. And we saw a lot of confusion. We saw that at the time there was problem with the Yomble, let me say Yomble, how you call him? Besides the Masale group, there was a time even the Yondua Mokomna, there was time confusion came about with all those things. But some of those things were handled, So there will always be issues when there are human beings, in organizations or institutions. But the means in resolving these matters or issues that will come out is what makes a political party more political, mature. Because you want to lead government, you want to lead the group of people, 5 million persons, you want to govern them. With so many problems, you cannot even resolve the problem. The minute portion of the problem that exists on the national scene, you cannot resolve minute portion of that is existing within your midst. Some of you see yourself like real bitter enemies. You were not originals of this political party, none of you. So if you were not originals, sometimes if you keep in record, go back and read some of how your party operated before. And some folks want to act like, they are so knowledgeable, and without them saying, or without their voice or their voices being heard, I mean, there's no party that exists. Even the CDC has so many problems. The CDC. People leave the CDC, some of whom were hardliners, even people within the CDC currently, they're not happy with the CDC. There are several problems that's going on with the CDC. So Liberia has just a nightmare in the country. Like someone said recently, there's a national problem with government officials. The party of the CDC could not resolve those matters. Neither the government. There was no cabinet meeting highlighting any of these matters that was raised by the United States government, for which sanctions was placed on 3 of government officials. So if the government felt that there was nothing wrong with her officials, why did the government say for the United States government to dictate to them in the first place? You know, if you didn't see that there was corruption within your government, there were individuals who needed to account. If the CDC executive committee did not see it, or the marriage of the CDC, the NPP, and another party, I don't know. All right. If the marriage could not see these major issues, why then did they sit there and the United States said, well, these people are corrupt? And you ask them to resign. You could not defend them because the fact they could not defend them, these are the international politics. Look, let me tell you something. The United States government would not have spoken so tough, and it wasn't a force. They just said, well, we'll place sanctions on these people. But if you were so honest as a government and you knew what you were doing, you would have told, you are written, there would have been a resolution from the CDC executive committee to tell the United States government or the international community, we know why we uphold, we defend our officials because there's no corruption they are not involved in any corruption. But the fact that you could not even do that, that's a weakness of a party. Even the party did not have any resolution to come out to say something. The CDC party, I'm not talking about. Your partisans, your officials, the first thing they were sanctioned. The very first thing that you have done was you have been an executive committee meeting that would have been called to raise those issues, to look at the merit and the demerit of these sanctions. If you couldn't do that, to look at the merit and the demerit of the sanction on these your officials, what party are you? Because the first thing in your resolution will be saying, well, we have evaluated the sanction placed on the government and the CDC officials, and these are our position as executive committee members. 1, A, B, C, D. Either we agree in part or we agree in whole that these persons indeed did A, B, C, D as been stated. Or either look, as much as we respect the United States government and everything, these officials are not involved in A, B, C, D. There would have been a record. That's what maturity would have called for. But if we didn't do that, no executive committee resolution on this matter, no issue come out, nobody say anything. The guy just said, okay, President Seymour resign. The president is not the voice of the political party. For some of you who don't know that, Josh Weah should not be making decisions for the CDC. The CDC executive committee members are the decision makers of the CDC. But do you have an executive committee member? Maybe just appoint few persons just to act. These persons are not even independent. They cannot challenge somebody. Even some of Josh Weah dealings would have been checkmate by the executive committee. That you, Mr. President, you are not proceeding on the basis of organizing and ensuring a functional party. Remember, Maurice, you spoke one time. It's almost like he honor grind. He doesn't go close to the mark these days. I'm sure there might have been some serious warning, and he dared not speak again. But Mullah Molu's voice was a stronger voice as a party chairman, and I'm one person who held him for that for his outbursts at the time, and that was a means to correct the ills within the CDC. But if other executive committee members did not agree to chastise one of their own, Josh Weah is the member of the CDC. He's not the voice of the CDC. So the fact that Mullah Molu was silenced, it means the CDC, if there's any stronger democratic voice within the CDC, that person is not going to speak. Why in the CDC? They will either leave, as we have seen, they leave the CDC, and then before they can begin to speak of the ills again, that we saw several persons, right? They leave the CDC, and then they start talking about the issues. So these are the problems that are affecting Liberia. When these political parties are not mature, are not putting their houses in order, their institutions are supposed to checkmate these persons, these political institutions. The National Election Commission in the face of elections, or the Supreme Court. So any individual within this political party that holds membership can decide anytime to challenge a party for not running as it should be, as called for by the Constitution of Liberia. So these are general issues we thought this is one issue we think is worth discussion. And discussing this matter, we hope those who are listening will take note and act accordingly. If you think Liberia is so important to your existence, to your well-being, you must, of course, do everything you can to protect Liberia. Protect that country. To do it, you must do everything possible to ensure that there are functional political parties. The National Election Commission, if there are 22 political parties per se, and you don't have this, maybe even if out of 22, 20 are not in line with the operational procedures laid down by the National Election Commission, this party can be banned from participating in national elections. They can cry from now to Judgment Day. If they don't meet the requirement and their house is not in order, they are not supposed to participate in the national elections. If they meet two political parties going to the election, this political party will be forced to support these two political parties. Nobody's supporting that, though. We don't say you should do it in an unfriendly manner or in an outlaw manner. But if the law demands that it's supposed to operate in some factions, it should be the National Election Commission. First thing is to have general meeting with these people. Tell them these are the list of things as expected that every political party will lay by. We'll give you maybe 1 month. Right? We'll give you 1 month to put your houses in order. The National Election Commission will set up a special committee comprising of commissioners to demand or to visit every political party, their headquarters, and so on. Okay? The headquarters. And at the end of the day, these headquarters, if they are not, even if they have headquarters, if political party don't have headquarters, there's no need for that political party to take part into the election. Honestly, if a political party doesn't have a headquarters, that political party should not be considered as a political party, as a registered and functional political party. So these are the issues that we have today, and these are the issues. We might talk more about these things someday. As long as election is next year, there are things that should be considered. If those things are not proper, there's no reason why people should sit and say they run a political party around here, meaning Liberia. You know, you can't talk about running a political party and you don't have a party headquarters. You don't have a functional executive committee. You don't have, offices within the headquarters. You must have a functional party headquarters. You must have people who go in there every day to work. These people must be paid. As in, say, government don't have no employment. But yet, as a political, they say no employment, no government. Liberian people don't have much. These political parties are supposed to have people employed and paying them. You're supposed to have people employed to pay them. You should have a functional secretariat. The Election Commission is supposed to demand that. A functional secretariat. If you don't have a functional secretariat, you are adding to the unemployment in Liberia. Political parties. If you have 22 political parties and have functional secretariat, even if you have 10 functional secretariat, That's employment opportunity. Pay them. Can be running a political party, you want to take part in the election, you can't even hire people to work and you pay them for them to do you a functional work. It's a shame on any political party who exists without such a situation. Okay? Well, that's how we want to come to the close of our discussion today. And this is an issue. And we hope those of you who are running political parties will take keen note of some of the things we have discussed. Both the Labour Party, the NPP, the Unity Party, the CDC, the ANC, all of these political parties, you must put your houses in order to contest free, fair, transparent, and trouble-free election. Okay? That is how we want to come to the close of today's discussion. And this is 2A Radio, the African Action Network radio and television station. And we are broadcasting from where we sit. Yes, we are sitting in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, the weather is good here today. And we hope that most of you who are out there take note of yourself, take care. Live one day at a time and keep praying that life will favor you, especially those of you in Liberia. We hope that there will be a functional political party in the national elections that will help to better the lives of the people. Liberians are not living to the best, and many persons are dying every day. So take note and guide yourself. And to you Liberians, you must hold these people accountable. Okay? Have a pleasant and wonderful day. Until next time, yes, this is 2A Radio. We've been here just for you. Bye for now.